my second guest has called. And Cassandra, is that you?
Yes, it's me.
All right, you are here. You're part of a Reading Circle doubleheader, so I'm glad you're on. I'm going to introduce you two over the air because, interestingly enough, the topics are somewhat related. Raheem Smallwood, Cassandra Freeman, Raheem Smallwood.
Good morning, Cassandra.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. And how are you?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Good. Now, Cassandra, Raheem works predominantly, he works with all children, but we're working predominantly with African-American males, children, our boys. Mm-hmm. And Cassandra actually works with helping women manifest their dreams. And so it dovetails with each other because I'm going to introduce Cassandra while I have her here. It says, I have such a heart for helping women to manifest their dreams. I am the founder and CEO of Thoughtful Inspirations. My products, such as the Goal Calendar and books such as Never Give Up and e-classes such as Stay Motivated to Achieve Your Goals, help many women achieve their most outrageous goals and turn their doubts into beliefs. What excites me most is seeing women's lives transform as they utilize my products and engage with me. I am known for inspiring women to transform into the best versions of themselves and showing them they have the courage within themselves to go after and fulfill their wildest dreams. With a successful family of 6, an amazing business, a certificate of photographic technology, a bachelor's degree, and a master's degree in innovation and entrepreneurship, I successfully show women how, yes, you can be a great mom, wife, live your dreams, and live an inspired life. I was the winner of Dr. Stacia Pierce's Success Conference video contest speaker at the Girl Talk event. I also inspire hundreds of women every day to start going after their dreams. Allow me to help you achieve your goals. So, Cassandra, welcome to the Reading Circle microphones and audience.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here today.
Well, I tell you, when I got your email back, when I emailed you originally to be on the show, it came back with such energy. I said, wow, I love her spirit. I could tell the way she was like, let's do this. I'm excited, so on and so on. So I said, I got to get her on it. And as it turns out, this is a wonderful time. Actually, if you don't mind, if either one of you don't, and Raheem, I know we've been on since about 6, so you can drop whenever you feel free. But the conversations and what both of you are trying to do are connected. Because Cassandra, Raheem, we're trying to hit it from the child in terms of inspiring African-American male boys in particular. And we were talking about this whole notion of single mom, because a lot of the boys that we deal with in the urban area are coming from homes with a single mom. And now you're talking about inspiring women to be their best. So there is a connection there. So, Cassandra, we're on for as long as we need to be between now and 9 o'clock. Raheem, we're on for as long as you need to be until you need to go or drop off, because I know we've been talking a while. But this conversation for both women and children, and men for that matter, is so important. And so when you joined in, Cassandra, we were talking about the whole situation in the various home lives with our boys and what they need and what others need to do, so forth and so on. So I thank both of you for taking time to be with me here on the Reading Circle this morning. And both of you, not only do you do what you do, but you're both authors. So, Raheem, I tell you what, let's talk a little bit more about Today is a Good Day, and then I'm going to transition over to Cassandra. And those, if you want to join the conversation with each other, feel free to. All right. So again, Raheem, as we're wrapping up, Today is a Good Day. Kind of give us where is it going to be available? How can folks get on?
It's going to be available on my Facebook page, which is Raheem Buzz.
And will it be available online? Are you going to put it in the bookstores? Are you going to,
eventually it's going to be in the bookstores. I'm going to start out with it online. Then it's going to be in the bookstores. I'm going to look to do it on the Noble. I really want to reach out to a really good bookstore, a great bookstore in Newark called Source of Knowledge on Broad Street. So I'm going to have it there. And it's going to be available online. So once I get the kickoff going, I'm going to make sure that I get you all the information so that you can get it to all of your listening audience. And like I said, they can go on my page, Raheem Smallwood Buzz, Brothers United Developing Spirits, on my Facebook page, and they can read more about Buzz, more about the book. My newsletter is on there, and I'll make sure that I keep your listening audience abreast as to how things are going with the book and where it'll be available. Because the other thing I need people to know is that I'm self-publishing.
That's right. And the technology in 2015 allows us to do that. And,
right. And yeah.
And so, so
right.
Cassandra, now this is where what you're doing becomes so important, because we're talking about this whole notion of our wayward kids, and they're not wayward just for the sake of being wayward. A lot of them are wayward because they've never been taught. And a lot of this is connected to women or girls who have now birthed children that, one, they may not have really intended to do to begin with. And where I'm going with this is a lot of that happens because of low self-esteem. Because for a lot of our girls, or a lot of our women, because of the lack of self-esteem, any young man that comes along and whisper the words, "I love you," they're willing to give up their treasure. Right. And a lot of times they give up their treasure, and now we have a child along the way who's come along, and then neither the man nor the female were willing and ready to now start raising children, and they become wards of everyone else. So that's kind of where Raheem and I have been talking, and this is where what you're doing is so, because once we get the women understanding just how much power they have, right. Because I know the brothers are going to hate me, because I say when I do write my book, I know the brothers are going to hate me, because I know there's some slack brothers out there. But the reason the brothers can be slack is because the women allow that. You get what you continue to get what you allow. And as long as the women don't realize how much power they have, we're going to keep getting what we're getting. And the work that you're doing in terms of changing their mindset, that's why that's so critical. And so it all connects. So, Raheem, feel free to stay in, tune in, listen in. You want to chime in, but I'm going to transition over as soon as I share this information with the folks, with Cassandra, and I'll keep the listening audience abreast of when Today's a Good Day. Is that the title of it?
Today's a Good Day.
When Today is a Good Day is released, I know I want to get my copy. And
yes, you are.
So feel free. You can hang on.
I'll be next week, as a matter of fact.
Okay, you can hang on and listen as long as you want. But I'm going to start talking with Cassandra about her work with females, with the women.
Can I just do this real fast?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, because I have to leave. I just want to leave my number, because we do want parents to contact me if I could be of any assistance in reference to information, resources, and strategies and working with our boys. I want them to be able to call me. So I'm going to leave my number. And I also want to be able to. Will you have Cassandra's information on your site?
I will. Matter of fact, both of your.
I want to get her information, because I have a right to pass this program for young ladies too, and I love for her to come out and address those young ladies and their moms. So I do want to be able to tap back into Cassandra at some point.
Well, one of the good things about the show is we do get a chance to network. I mean, over the 14 years I've been on the air, I've met some wonderful people, and we can connect up with others because each one of us can support it. There's enough out here for all of us.
That's right. Oh, it's enough work.
Yeah, it is.
It's enough work for all of us.
So I'll connect.
We hope to change that.
Right. So I'll connect you to. That's right. So, all right, leave your number by all means. Give your number again to the listening audience, and then I'm going to share some information, and then Cassandra and I is going to press on.
You got it. Raheem Smallwood, 973-747-4139, and that is a contact line for parents who are just looking for information, resources, support, and strategies in working with their boys and daughters too, but more so the young men of African American descent. So thank you for having me on, my brother. I appreciate you, love you. God will continue to bless you for the work you're doing. And Cassandra, I hope to speak with you as well. Continue your work.
Likewise, thank you.
Same here.
Very, very welcome.
And for those in the listening audience, if you weren't, a couple of weeks ago, you heard me say that I was given an award by the city of Patterson, the Frederick Douglass Award. Raheem was on that same award panel. And Raheem, which award did you receive? I had Frederick Douglass. Who are you?
Benjamin E. Mays.
That's right. Raheem received the Benjamin.
Work with men, young men. Yeah.
That's right. He received the Benjamin E. Mays Award, and I had received the Frederick Douglass Award, and we were on that same panel. Matter of fact, for those of you who received the Herald News or the Patterson Press, or it was a couple other newspapers that had made, our picture was in there, and that was me, Dwayne, and Raheem that was doing all that laughing on the stage. And so we were on that panel together, and I thank you for rising early to join me, and I wish you nothing but success with Today is a Good Day.
I thank you, sir, for having me on the show.
All right. Have a great great day now. Be blessed.
Have a great
day.
Right.
I'm going to continue to listen, but I just have to get ready to go.
No, that works. So just get on your speaker, go on your computer to gobrave.org and turn on your speakers. You're good to go.
You got it.
All right. Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right.
Bye-bye. Okay, well, that wraps up the section with Raheem Smallwood and my second guest in the doubleheader hour has called in, Cassandra Freeman, and we're going to go ahead with her, but I'm going to share this information and get all this out the way up front so that I don't have to interrupt our interview, at least for the next half hour or so. I'm going to get all I need to do out of the way right now.
This year, firefighters like Fire Chief James Hall will battle wildfires around the country in hopes of containing them. But firefighters can't do it alone.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile, or it can ignite and destroy your home and community.
Get FireAdapted. Learn simple steps you can take now to reduce wildfire damage later at FireAdapted.org. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council. Learn more at FireAdapted.org.
The number of women impregnated against their will each year in the U.S. as a result of rape is 32,000. And the chances that a woman's body, quote, shuts that whole thing down is 0 in 3.2 billion. So let's get the facts straight. The U.S. is ranked 13th in the world for rape. Let's be the country everyone expects us to be and put an end to sexual assault once and for all. Stay aware and spread awareness. Visit www.feminist.org to see how you can take action.
What's up, everybody?
Wagwan.
It's your girl, Mandy Miggs.
And your girl, Sean Star.
Are you looking for something to flare up your Thursday nights?
Well, listen up.
From 10 to midnight, we are live playing you the latest music in hip-hop, R&B, Latin, and Caribbean.
And don't forget to keep it locked for juicy news and spicy topics.
Tune in to Urban Flair every Thursday night from 10 to midnight.
Right here on 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio.
Want to expand your horizons? Want to broaden your mind? Well, listen to the only show of its kind. Listen to The Reading Circle.
We bring you what's going on in the world of reading, in the world of books. Sometimes the book may be from 20, 30 years ago, because the thing about books, they are timeless, particularly if there's a good message. And then there are times when we do books that are hot off the press, that were just released.
Listen to The Reading Circle every Saturday morning from 6 a.m.
The Reading Circle with your host, Marc Medley.
Only on WP 88.7 FM.
That is correct. And we are in a second of the Reading Circle with Marc Medley. Like I said, I told you this morning we would be in doubleheader mode. And both of my guests came in, and my second guest in the second hour, Cassandra Freeman, is here. And as I shared with you all, when I contacted, or whenever Cassandra and I connected on the social media site, and I invited her to come on the show, her response was with such energy that I said, wow, I love her spirit. I can tell just from the airwaves. And so I said, yes, we're on Saturday morning. She is here, and the work that she's doing, like I said, it really fit nicely with the first hour, because Cassandra's working with helping our women. So let's talk a little, Cassandra, about where did thoughtful inspirations come from?
Wow. It really came from me just doing what I always do. I started off helping women, and just to be able to recognize what they wanted to do in life, because so many of them expressed despair and confusion, not knowing what they wanted to do or how they could even accomplish that. And a lot of times when we are not able to pinpoint how can we accomplish our goals or our dreams, we tend to take it out on the people around us. And being able to help them really pinpoint it and really go after it, it really opened them up to a whole new world, and they started becoming their best self. And I said, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to help women. And from then on, it has just been truly amazing to see the transformation that many women have achieved throughout this whole journey. So I'm very excited. But I've been doing this for several years, and it just keeps getting better and better. So.
And when you say, for example, when you're telling or you're saying about women as you take them through transformation, what are you transforming them from and to? I mean, are you, like I said earlier, a lot of females and males, believe it or not, suffer from self-esteem issues or either issues of I don't believe I'm worthy, or I don't believe I can do this, or you know what, there's no way that's ever going to happen for me. I don't look like her, or my body's not, I don't have the figure 8, I have the figure 88. I mean, it's kind of like, talk to me a little bit about how do you work with them? How do you get them to go from to, or where are you trying to take them from to?
They come from a mindset of, I don't believe, or my gifts and talents are not valuable. And a lot of it stems from sometimes in our communities, in our circumstances, we just can't see how we can accomplish anything. I help them to change that thinking and see the resources that they have around them already, to see that there are positive people around them so that they can achieve those goals. Because the truth is, many times, not just women, but we all tend to use the excuses and our circumstances that are completely, maybe even changeable in the instant. We use that as a hurdle, when really we can overcome anything. We can overcome our circumstances. We don't have to use excuses. We can overcome doubts. And that's why I help women to see that they can overcome all those things and they can achieve it, no matter if they have kids, no matter if they're single or something happened in their past that they feel like, I can't do this, I'm not valuable, I don't trust anyone. I help them break down those barriers to know that they can achieve great things.
And give an example of whenever you say you're helping them break down, what are some of the strategies that you use to help with that? Because in the listening audience, I'm sure there's someone out here that would say, you know what, she's coming down my street. So what are some of the strategies you might use to help someone begin to believe in themselves? Because a lot of this really does come down to believing and loving oneself. As I said earlier, a lot of relationship issues stem from not loving self first. And you're looking for something in somebody else, and that somebody else can't give it to you. So when I'm working with kids or girls or boys or whatever, I say, look, first, let's kind of put things in order here. Love you first, and then, you know, whoever your mate is, you're not looking for them to, like, fill in that gap. Like you're looking now for them to accentuate you, but you're not looking for them to complete you, if you will. So talk a little bit about some of the strategies you might use to transform.
Well, a lot of the strategies is, I would say, personalized for each person, because everyone has their own battles. And what I try to do is I really try to connect with each woman, because I want them to see the individual possibilities that exist in their situation. When they're able to see the opportunity and the possibility in their situation, their thinking changes, and that's when they begin to see that it's possible and to understand. And another thing that I do after I show them the possibilities is that I make sure that they understand that it's not going to be a perfect journey, because that is where people get tied up the most. They think that, okay, now I believe that it can happen, and the first problem that comes along, then they want to stop. But I say, no, understand that you have to believe there are possibilities. You can use these resources to get there. However, understand it's also a journey, and journeys are not perfect. There are hills, valleys, you're going to fall sometimes, but the important thing is to just keep going and to never give up. And being able to teach them, to see the possibilities and the opportunities, and then to reinforce that with understanding that it is a journey, and it's okay if problems happen and setbacks occur, but you just got to push through.
Now, this is true.
Yes.
This is, and the title of your book is Never Give Up.
Mm-hmm,
and for many people, that's easier said than done. And I say that only because I'm not sure if you're aware, maybe you are, if you read my bio on LinkedIn or what have you, or wherever we found each other. I'm a principal during the school week. Whenever I'm not doing radio on the weekends, I'm a principal during the school week. And I was meeting with a parent the other day, happened to be female, and she said, Mr. Medley, sometimes we just feel like we're stuck.
Yes. We
just feel like, because, we're in the urban area, we're in the quote-unquote ghetto. And she said, sometimes we just feel like we're stuck. What do you say to somebody that says that?
I say that you have to open your mind again to the possibilities and to see what you can do instead of what you can't do, because a lot of times when we get stuck, we can only see what we can't do, and we get paralyzed in our thinking and our actions. But you have to kind of switch that and say, okay, I'm not going to think about can't. What can I do? And when you begin to do that, you begin to see a new strategy in your journey. And even if it's a side road that you have to take temporarily, you see that and you're able to move forward from that. So I would say consider what you can do, don't focus on what you can do. Focus on what you can do, and you will find a way to make it happen because it will empower you to move forward.
Now, along with that, I'm seeing here in your bio, one of your products is the goal calendar. How important, and this is a rhetorical question for me and for you, but I want you to talk about it only because it's a radio show and we have a listening audience that may or may not know. So how important is goal setting?
Goal setting is extremely important because you have to know where you're going, where you're headed. I mean, I use this example in the book that it's like you're getting in your car and you're going somewhere. Every time you get in your car to go somewhere, you know where you're headed, whether it's the store or whether it's school. You know where you're going. You may take a different route to get there each time, but you know your goal. And that's how it is with life. You have to, when you wake up in the morning, you need to know what your goal is, or, what the end of the week goal is. You have to know where you're going so that you can take the proper steps to get there. So it is extremely important to set your goals, for the daily goal, for the weekly, and ultimately all that leads to the monthly and the yearly goal. It's going to take you to where you need to be, where you want to be in life, and that is to live a fulfilled life.
And again, this is something that you would think would be common sense, but I know it has always been said that common sense is not all that common. That is said as well. And a lot of things, while it may be common, because it's so common, sometimes you just don't think about it. But it could be just as simple as writing your goals down, because I know I've read so many books on, it's one thing to say it, it's one thing to think it, but it's a whole nother thing to write it and put it in front of you.
Right. You have to do all those things. I usually say you have to incorporate all the senses, and as many senses as you can incorporate in your goal setting process, the better it'll be, because you'll remember it, you'll see it, you'll feel it, you'll hear it, and it will become a part of you, because that's what your goals are. They're a part of you. They're inside of you.
Now, again, and the question may be coming at you from a different way, or it may sound repetitive, but again, in terms of, because I noticed you said staying motivated, because you said earlier you're going to hit peaks and valleys, mountains and valleys, so on and so on. How do you stay motivated? Because, to tell somebody, all right, set your goal, but you still like that parent. How do I go from here to there? I know what I want. I know I want that big house. I know I want that neighborhood. I know I want this car. I know I want that man. I know I want the white fence and the 2 cars. But right now, I just don't see that. How do you get folks seeing that? Because there's a book called "You're Gonna Have to Believe It Before You See It."
Yes.
And because usually we hear it the other way around. Well, I'll believe it when I see it. But it's no, you're gonna have to believe it before you see it.
Yes.
Talk a little bit how some of your motivation strategies to achieve goals.
Well, a few of those are to really get around people who speak positive and uplift you, because if you can't be around people who are constantly feeling doubts. That's right. In your mind, that's very hard for anyone to have to deal with on a constant basis. So get around people who are going to talk the talk and walk the walk and help you excel, because that's very important. And also, I would say, just surround your home with inspirational things. It can be something as simple as a family picture that you absolutely love. Anything that you walk into and it just makes you smile and uplifts you. And then I would say also to seek God, because the first thing that you should be doing is to seek God and get His clarity and get His guidance on it, because He's the one that gave you that purpose. So making sure you do those 3 things is a great start to making sure that you stay inspired and motivated, because you're going to need that. And I would say the most important one of those things is to make sure that you are around those key people, because that is really going to influence you to making sure that you're around people who are helping you to stay inspired, who are giving you ideas, because people like that, they give you ideas, They connect with different people. They give you inspiration along with your journey. They tell you that you can keep going. And that is so, so important. I don't know how many times my influential circle has inspired me to keep going, on the earlier days and even now. So it is so important to kind of check your people list to see who is kind of draining your energy versus enhancing your energy. So you need to check that. So maybe write down the list.
Because they say misery loves company. Because you can get into that old pity party mode, and everybody's girl, child, I'm with child, girl. Exactly. You can get into that, and you're right, and that'll keep you in that negative energy. I laugh because, like I said, I could feel your energy over the email.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
I can imagine what it's like, to have you talking in front of me or doing a workshop, because it came through loud and clear just in how you responded to the email. Like, I'm excited. Let's do this.
Yes.
Now, we talked a little bit, because I know in the email you were saying about how reading, for you, how you felt reading was so important.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
Wow. I know that, so I have 4 boys, and I know, just watching them over time read and learn and develop and mature, I know. And even as a little girl, I did the same thing. But just watching, becoming an author now is another side of the story, because, I was behind the book now, I'm kind of inside the book and watching people read my words. But I know that reading, it can just take you to a place of understanding. It can take you to a place of inspiration. It can make you think amazing thoughts of gratitude, of, finding a possibility or idea or opportunity. There's so many things out there, and books are great resources. It's a whole new world that I think people, especially our community, we tend to void out or push it aside as it's not important. But it is so important. It's probably one of the things that hold us back the most, is because a lot of our kids, they don't read on the level that they're supposed to be reading on.
That's correct.
But we just don't, I don't think sometimes we understand the power behind reading. And even as a teacher, I recognize that a lot of my students, when I taught high school, they weren't reading on their level, so they couldn't even sometimes they couldn't understand the concepts that was trying to be taught to them. And that's a huge barrier in our community, because if you have a difficult time reading and understanding, it's kind of hard to go forth, to pay attention in class, to be able to continue on with your education, because then at that point, you kind of tend to slack off education if it gets too hard to understand the information. And it just kind of leads down a not so bright road. But if we understand the true power behind education, behind reading, it will open up so many doors, of understanding, of opportunity. There's so much power in reading, and I just hope we as a community begin to see that reading any book, whether it's fictional or non-fictional, it can open doors. I mean, it can change your thinking. It can give you a new insight on education or facts or something that you're trying to learn on, something that you're interested in. But sometimes we just don't see the power in that, and that is one thing that I hope that will change over the years, that we will help people begin to read better and to understand what they're reading, because you can read and not understand or comprehend anything that you read, but the power is in the comprehension, so that you can apply the information. So I just hope in the future that we change that so that we can understand what we're doing and use the information to better our communities, because that's where it's all at. That's where it's at.
It is so on point what you're saying about the comprehension piece, because many people think reading is just about calling off words or decoding, as we call it. When the truth of the matter is, there's no question decoding is a part of this. Reading has parts to it, and you have to do all the parts well in order to be able to understand the information. So yes, you have to be able to decode, because I've seen students miss the entire meaning of what they were trying to read because they were struggling with the decoding. Because by the time you sit there and go, master, by the time you do that, you have not gotten anything of what the content was about. So I've seen that happen. Then I've seen kids that think they know how to read that really don't. And then even if they do decode well, when you go back and circle back and say, okay, now what did that mean to you? Or what do you think the author meant? They can't do it.
Exactly.
So reading is critical. I constantly on this show and everywhere that I go help folks understand, for me, reading is the foundation of every other subject.
Yes,
and I'm not dismissing the other subjects, because we need all of them as well. We need the sciences, we need the math, but reading is the foundation for all of that. Case in point, our children on Monday in my school district are getting ready to take a state assessment that is now on the computer. It's called the PARCC, PARRCC. All capital letters, because it's an acronym that I still haven't learned what it means. I have to see it. I know it's something preparation, readiness, and college career, something or another. I have to look at it because I haven't gotten it down pat. But that test is timed. So they're going to have to be able to get on there within the allotted amount of time, read the question and answer it, or the computer's going to shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not a quick decoder, you're going to be stuck.
Yes, exactly.
If you're not a quick reader and a comprehender that can do it within the time frame that the computer is going to give you, you're not going to do well on that test. So, again, this is where reading, and you're right, it opens up so many worlds. And I tell the kids all the time, if you're under 18, I don't care what you read as long as not porn. If you're over 18 and you choose to read porn, I could care less. That's on you, as long as you're reading. You got to be reading. I mean, that's the whole thing. Because a lot of the time the kids like comic books, or the boys like Sports Illustrated, or the girls like, I think the latest one is Hunger Games. It's like, I don't care, but you've got to read. Reading is no different from basketball, baseball. It is a skill that you have to practice over and over again.
Yes.
And so whenever, that was another thing about your email that said, what, I just think reading is so important that, the fact that you're doing a show on reading, I think this, no question. And so, again, do you infuse that even when you're talking to the women in terms of transformation by helping them read more?
Oh, absolutely. I always tell them that you need to read. You need to read something that, you can, read things that will help you, for resources or how-to items, but pick up a book. I saw a quote somewhere or someone who was saying that reading is their TV, and I loved it because I said, we watched entirely too much TV, and if you read as much as you watched TV, the places we would go. But
no question. I'm going to quote you on that. I don't know who said it, but I'm getting ready to put you on Twitter saying that. Reading is our TV.
Yes. Well, I loved it because, and even that inspired me. I don't watch a lot of TV, but, so, even the 1 or 2 hours that I watch it, I probably would prefer reading. So I said, let me get that in me so that I can really apply that to my life. But, yes, I feel like reading anything is a great start for our kids, and even for my boys. I tell them, sometimes my middle children, they look at me like, I don't want to read, but they still do. But I explain to them that reading is everywhere you go. You can go in the store and you have to read the boxes to know what you want to buy.
That's right.
Everywhere you drive, you have to read. You cannot bypass it. So it's essential that we get this under control, because especially now in this digital age where people, prefer ebooks, or they're looking at the computer screen all the time, just picking up a book and holding it in your hand and reading the first page.
That's right.
It's something that is amazing. And even to this day, me and my kids, we have library cards. We go there because I hope that it's not becoming a lost art, but we need to save it, because reading is it's like a key to where we want to go. And we need a lot more people to have that key, There's
no question. And in some respects, it's like I go back and forth. I vacillate on whether or not what I'm saying is true or not. Because in one respect, I think kids really do like to read. Then on other times, I don't. I mean, it was like you would think we were pulling their fingernails out whenever we asked them to read. But at the same time, I'm kind of encouraged because I do see some, when I go into the bookstore or whatnot, I see families encouraging it. Right, but it's like, I don't know if it's a question of they read what they want to read or they just don't like to read at all. And then the other piece of it is because we're in a society now with social media and so many electronics that their attention spans are very short because they can do things multitask, if there is such a thing as that. But I mean, they can text, they can do the social media, they can have their headphones, listen to music, they can do all these things simultaneously.
And I think it's both, really. Like for my kids, they have all, the electronics, and that sometimes keeps them from wanting to read as much. However, like you said, I had noticed how they would prefer to read more when they get to choose. Like my youngest son, he really, really loves his father's engineering book, and it's like a college-level course, but he will sit there and he will fight his way through all of those big words just to read it.
Wow.
And he won't read. He doesn't like reading the children's books, but he will sit there and he will read that book. And when I discovered that, I said, you know what, you go right ahead, boo.
I know that's right. I would not, you want to, can I get you another one?
Exactly. You go right ahead and fight through them big words. And he has mastered a few of those. I'm like, you know what, okay, maybe there is something to you, and, go right ahead. I'm good with it. And he reads that every single day. He won't put it down. So I'm just like, okay. So we found that. But I think you're right. There is something to that, giving them what they're interested in and not so much trying to force them all the time to pick up this book, even though it may be on their level. Sometimes we need to kind of listen to them on what they want to read and say, well, okay, if you want to read that, all right, go right ahead.
No, it is so true. And by all means, if he wants to read the engineering books, read it for sure. Because the vocabulary building, like you just would not believe. I play, I'm on, Luminosity, one of those brain game vendors. And one of the games they have on it is a vocabulary, and of course you're under pressure, you're under a time clock.
Yeah.
And it'll start you out with 3 letters, like maybe 4 letters, like CHR. And you have to finish with however many words that starts with CHR.
Oh, wow.
And under pressure, I sit there and not as many words as I would think would come to my mind.
Right.
And I sit there and I know I have a large vocabulary, but whenever I need to pull on it for something like that, it's like I don't know anything. And my point is, the more words that we can learn and build and use and get away from just the plain old words that we use all the time, the better off all of us are going to be, because you use that in your writing. You use that in your speaking, because writing and speaking and reading, they're all connected. Usually how people write is how they speak and vice versa. So whenever because what you said now, you just said your son was reading the engineering books. As you're talking to women in terms of encouraging them, particularly women that have families or kids or what have you, kids tend to do what they see their parents do. I developed my love of reading from watching my father come home. And it was like a routine. Like he would be in by 4:30. By the time he changed his clothes from work, by 5:15, he was sitting down somewhere reading Ebony magazine, Jet magazine, the newspaper, a book, or something. I took on those same habits. As you're talking to these women, do you help them to understand that their kids are watching what they do? That if they were to sit down and read, their kids would do the same thing?
Oh, absolutely. They do learn by example. And the biggest thing with women is that we feel like we don't have time. We always have something we have to do, and we just see that we need to be doing sometimes other things, and that maybe, we don't have time to really do all that we need to do. But I realized just when we take a step back and say, you know what, this is important. I'm going to take, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes to just sit down, make reading a part of our habits and our lifestyle. We make it a part of our lifestyle. They see it. When we go to the library often, they see it. When we talk about the books that we're reading, they see it. They can become a part of it. They're participating with us. And eventually they'll ask. They'll say, "Hey, Mommy, are we going to the library today?" Or, "Mommy, I was thinking about that book you were talking about today because maybe we talked about a similar situation in our book at school." I mean, they begin to really incorporate it into their own lives. And it's just amazing what can happen when they see us time after time, finding a new book to read or talking to them about something that we're reading or even reading together, which is awesome because they really find the significance in taking that time to read together and not necessarily making it the child's responsibility to always say, take the time to read. But taking the time to read with your child, even if it's whatever you're reading or whatever they're reading, take the time to just create massive discussions and great activities to do based off of the book. When we learn to make reading come outside of the book and into our lives, that's where the real change happens. And kids love that. Kids love to be able to do something with their mommies, read books with their mommies, and then say, oh, there's a movie about this. Why don't we go and see it and discuss the differences between the book and the movie? Like when Hunger Games came out, I'm not sure I know for the middle school here, they did read the Hunger Games and they went as a group to the movies and didn't discuss the differences. But things like that, kids remember, and they talk about it with their friends. They talk about it with their parents. And I think that is so important to remember, to kind of, one, make sure that we have the time, two, make sure that we are incorporating reading into our habits, and three, really learn to apply what we learn in the book outside of the book, whether we compare it to the movie, whether we do an activity, or whether we just talk to our child about it and talk about the cool parts that we like. They love that stuff.
No question. And we are at the 8 o'clock hour. I need to do a couple of things at the top of the hour, take a hard stop, and we're going to continue on. And when we come back, I'm not going anywhere. I really have to slap myself for saying it because we don't go anywhere. And I don't want the listening audience to go anywhere either. That's why I'm trying to change that terminology. And it's so prevalent and frequent in radio. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, no, we're not going anywhere. I need you to get on your social media sites. And that's what I've been doing. As Cassandra's been talking, I've been on Hootsuite going off, saying you got to be on this, you got to hear this, you got to be listening. Tune in to GoBrave.org, the Reading Circle. Cassandra Freeman is on the air with him talking some good stuff. And so that's what I need you doing while I'm sharing this information. I need you to multitask. I need you to listen with what I'm sharing with you. But at the same time, I need you on your social media sites telling folks to tune in to GoBrave.org because some useful information as well as entertaining and inspirational are being shared on the station right now. So all they have to do is go to their computers wherever they are in the world, if they have internet connectivity, and go to GoBrave.org and turn on their speakers. When they go to GoBrave.org, it's going to have a little box on there that says, listen. Click on that box, and if your speakers are on, you should be able to hear us. I need you to text somebody and tell them, there's a hot interview going on the Reading Circle this morning. You need to tune in. You may even learn something. So while I'm sharing this information with you, do that. And Cassandra, when we come back, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that notion I was saying earlier about how much power women have that I really don't believe they know or realize they have. We're going to talk about that whenever I share this information with you. And then before you know it, 9 o'clock will be here, and Barry will be here with the Naked Brunch.
Brave New Radio. Give us your tired, your poor, your hungry, your rockers, your punks, your freaks, your geeks, your Greeks, your party animals, your gangsters, your commuters, your residents, your students, your alums, your lawyers, your truckers, your calls, your tweets. And we'll give you rock, classic, indie, punk, alternative, easy, hard, raps, rhymes, mixes, and drops. We'll give you kick-ass music because we're WPSC 88.7 FM, Brave New Radio. Sound good?
WPSC FM 88.7, Wayne, New Jersey.
Part of the William Patterson Broadcast Network, Brave New Radio.
Straight from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center, here's your local forecast.
Woo, we've moved up to a whole 10 degrees. The last couple of forecasts, we were down in the 5s and 6s. We're working our way up to 29 degrees. We're going to have a low of 8 tonight. It's going to be plenty of sunshine today. Like I said, with the high of 29. And then tomorrow on Sunday, occasional snow showers, the S word again. 70% chance of precipitation, high of 32, low of 28. And then 90% chance of precipitation Sunday night. Snow in the evening. It will become a wintry mix, a low of 28. 1 to 3 inches of that wintry mix is expected. Monday, some clouds in the morning will give way to mainly sunny skies for the afternoon, high of 38. Monday night, a mostly clear sky, low of 30. 13. And then as we rock on into Tuesday, a mix of clouds and sun early, then becoming cloudy later in the day. 100% chance of precipitation Tuesday night, 1 to 3 inches expected. And then on Wednesday, cloudy with occasional light rain. 80% chance of precipitation during the day, 90% of precipitation during it. So Monday through Thursday, you can expect a mix of rain and snow over those next few days. Not like we need anymore, but it is what it is. All right. Well, that's the weather brought to you right here from the WP 88.7 FM Weather Center. And right before I share that information with you, I have Cassandra Freeman on the line, and she does a lot with helping women transform their lives. That's what her business, her purpose, her mission is about. And right before we share the information, I said I was going to start chatting about just how much power women have that I don't know if they realize it or not. Now, Cassandra, when I say this, I am the father of 4 daughters.
All right.
And could not buy a boy. But I have always been under, and I don't think, and probably, like I said, this is why I said the brothers will absolutely hate my theology and thinking and philosophy in the book that I write one day. But in terms of the power that females have, I don't know if folks realize that genetically, physiologically, or anything else, that the male species is wired to do what they do to attract the female species. There is no, in the animal kingdom, every male is designed and does things to attract the females. From the car they buy, to the neighborhood they live in, to the clothes they wear, to the cologne they wear, to the job they try to get, to the money, all of it. Now, they don't know it because it's subconscious. They don't realize it. But subconsciously, all of that is about the ability to attract a female. And for some brothers, it's to attract many females. Okay? So the female, so the onus, I'm saying all this to lead us into the onus of kind of what happens with the male. And I know men have all kinds of names for it, calling kitty whipped, and I'm being nice because it's radio, but they have all kinds of names, being whipped, being that, being punked, being this, being soft. But the truth of the matter is your toughest thug is still trying to attract the affection of some female. All right. Okay. Females knowing that have a whole lot of power. And I don't mean from an evil perspective. I don't mean from a vindictive, from a revengeful, but there are some standards if the females would set and stick to, the world would change. And I tell my young girls in the school all the time, I said, look, when that little tackhead coming to you talking about he want to get your digits, he want to get your telephone number, he want to give you a call, this is your response back to him. Let me see your report card. Exactly. And if the brother, now that's not to say the sister's game don't have to be tight now, because it does. The sister's game got to be tight too, because you can now the sister can't have all F's and then demand all A's. No, that's not gonna work. But I'm talking. Let me see your report card. And so now when the brother say, huh? Like before you get these digits, I want to see your report card. Now with the report card, and why? Because I want to see what kind of potential you have. I want to see what kind of, who I'm going to be hanging with or mate potential. I want to see that before I just automatically give my digits and everything else away to you. I guarantee you, before the digits got, you had to have a certain amount of A's. I guarantee you, brothers will be breaking their backs to get all A's on their report card. Guaranteed. Because again, go back to my premise. Most of what males do is to attract females. All right. Same thing would apply with rap. All this bitches and hoes and all these other names that's being called. Let the sisters start saying, wait a minute, you listening to that? I ain't getting in that car with you.
Exactly.
That's the kind of, no, I'm not. Watch how quick the sales of that kind of music would go down. And the folks that are rappers and the companies that are promoting it, watch how quick they would change. Because in the end, it's all about the dollar anyhow. So now if I'm making the dollar off of calling folks female dogs and hoes and whores and this, that, and the other, and now all of a sudden all the women band together and say, oh, no, brother, if you listen to that, you can't be with me. Watch how quickly the brothers would stop buying. And I'm saying all that to say that's the kind of power, but it would have to be that standard would be set by the women, and all of the women get together and say, because that's where you get it. Would the brother turn around and say, well, hey, sister, if you don't get in the car with me, that sister down the street will. That's what you can't have. And that's what I mean by the power that women have that I don't even know if they banded together. They know the effect it would have on terms of changing the world. Do you ever get into those kind of thinking or thoughts or discussions in terms of, or maybe if you haven't, maybe it is something to think about, but there's a lot of power there.
It is. It is a lot of power there. And I think that a lot of times I don't think many times that we as women comprehend what we're giving away, and we don't understand the value of it. But when it comes to music, I wonder if we, sometimes I think with our community that when it comes to music like that, we tend to just listen to the beat and not the words. But I think that also goes back to the whole reading aspect, that
that's right.
Understanding the fine details and what things are really saying. You get to the heart of it and you start really listening and hearing what someone is saying. Then you need to change. You need to commit to that change and say, no, I don't like what this is saying. I don't agree with it, and I won't encourage it. And you need to set those standards and stick to them, especially when it relates to mating and things like that. But I think that we need to understand our value as women.
That's right.
Because we do have the power. And I was blessed to have, my two parents, but my father spent a lot of time with me. And looking back on it now, I'm so thankful that he did, because, that helps me to understand what a good father is and what he should do. And also it helped me to see my value in it, because he taught me a lot of the standards that I now live by.
That's right.
He taught me, that, when I go on dates, what should happen and how the guy should be. But unfortunately, I know a lot of women don't have that.
That's right.
And I think that, especially nowadays, when I'm out here, just looking at the community, I see so many young women making those mistakes that my father taught me to do when I was younger, or, whether it was dressing, to not wear revealing things, to keep things, secret and modest. But, now I go out and I don't see a lot of modesty, but a lot of that stems from, lack of structure or stability in the home, maybe single parent, and a lot of it is women, sometimes we want attention. And even, looking back in college and some of my friends, a lot of times they would dress less modest. And I think a lot of that was also they were trying to attract the guys. But with my, as I grew up, I learned that a lot of that is not how you attract a male.
That's
you don't
right.
attract him by being less modest or showing off your goodies. You attract him with your inner self. With,
That's right.
Your value, with, your mind, with conversation, with stimulating conversation, and being the lady that you are, not showing off your goodies. So when we understand our value and that we don't have to flaunt ourselves to get the things that we want, that's when things are going to change. But until then, I guess I'm just going to keep praying and talking to young women that I encounter. But I think that's where the problem lies, is that we tend to attract but we tend to flaunt our goodies instead of truly attract based on our value. Because I don't think many think that they may be smart, or people may have told them things, put doubts in their minds about their own value. But when we understand our true value, that we do have something to offer other than our bodies, that is when things are going to change.
Well, see, and that's just it, because that figure 8 one day, if you live long enough, is going to turn into a figure 88.
Exactly.
There is no getting around that, unless like you just continuously work out. You're a workout freak. Even with that, it's going to do what it's going to do. So you're right. It's the inner piece, and this is the other thing. A lot of women, for many men, the mystery is actually more attractive than letting it all hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of imagining or wondering what must that look like, as opposed to seeing it just straight up in your face. And I use this all years ago. I went to France, and in France and in European countries, topless beaches are the norm there.
Mm-hmm.
You could always tell the American women because they were always covering up, and you can always tell the American men because they were standing around with cameras. And that is true. That's not an exaggeration. I was there. That was exactly what. But there was a lot of things on that topless beach that didn't need to be topless, and I got a better appreciation for. This is why in the States we don't do this.
Yeah.
I mean, it was this whole notion of, you know what, it's not good to see everything on everybody all the time.
Right.
And that's what came to me on that topless beach was like, okay, I got it. Because, you know, when you're here, you're like, oh, I wish we had topless beach. Oh, I wish. But if you're exposed to that, you get a whole different perspective, a whole different mindset of, you know what, some things are left better covered up.
Yeah.
It's better left than seeing everybody's everything and just let the mystery. And if a lot of females would understand that, like you said, if your inner beauty, your intellect, your ability to conversate, if all of that shone through, you would be just as attractive, if not more.
Yes, exactly.
And this is going back, and I think you put in a nice little gift box exactly what I've been trying to say in terms of what is your value? And if you can translate and stick to your morals, values, and standards, you will have that power that I'm talking about. And believe it or not, the man will meet or surpass that value or expectation. And if it's a brother that don't want to do that, then that's who you don't have to deal with.
Exactly.
But eventually, if enough women come at him with that same way, he's going to change. Trust me on this one. I'm a man. I'm a guy. I know. Eventually, if enough women come at him with that same thing, he's going to change. But the fact, what problem is now is the women aren't coming at them with that. You have these slack sisters out here that will anything go. Yeah. And the brother know that and say, well, you know what, forget the high standard sister. I'm going to go with the slack sister. And then that causes a whole bunch of other issues. And you were so right about the father figure. My pastor and I, we have this conversation all the time in terms of, for our daughters, the first exposure to everything a man should be like to you should be from the father. So the opening of doors, when you go to the restaurant, the etiquette at the restaurant, everything that going on your first train ride or bus ride. So you know what that does is when that little tackhead comes along and think because he's taking you to this fancy restaurant that's going to be the key to the kingdom, so to speak.
Exactly.
That's whenever the young girl can say, oh, this ain't nothing because my father's already done this with me.
Exactly.
Oh, you weren't impressing me with that thing of roses. My father already gave me roses.
Exactly. Saying nothing new. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Exactly. So no, this is not the key to the kingdom.
Exactly.
It's not it's not getting to the treasure just because you took me to the fancy French restaurant. My father's done that for me already. But it's everything that should be exposed to the girls in terms of, like you said, relationship, males, so forth and so on, really should come from. But unfortunately, a lot of our women, as you said, they don't get that or they don't have that.
Right.
And that's where someone like you comes in. So I notice it says you have 3 books. I see Never Give Up. What are the other 2?
Well, I also have my new book that's coming out. It's all about the journey to stay motivated. And I also have a book that I did a few years ago, How to Study with Kids Around, because a lot of the problems that women were having when they went back to school, especially having little kids, is that they didn't know how to study with their kids around. They didn't know how to find the time or to just utilize little tips and strategies to make sure that they could be the best student possible. So I kept getting a lot of questions because, as I mentioned before, I have 4 boys. So going to school and, still accomplishing master's degrees and things like that on, a level of excellence, I would get a lot of questions to say, well, how did you do that with 4 boys and manage to create success in their lives too? And so I said, well, let me write this book. And I wrote it, and it's really helping a lot of women to see that even though you're a mom and you have little kids, that you don't have to postpone your education. You don't have to be a less than great student. You can still be an excellent student. You can still achieve your dreams and go to school and get your education and become, whatever career you choose. But you don't have to wait, and you don't have to be afraid or intimidated of it. There is a lot going on, in life in general. Everybody's busy or everybody has something to do, but education is a priority, and especially when your kids see you getting educated and placing education as a priority, they begin to understand, okay, this education thing is important. And even letting them help you study and things like that, they learn so much. They learn, I mean, not recently, a few years ago, I was taking a sign language course, and the way I studied a lot of times was with my kids helping me to study. And through that, they learned just as much as I did. But a lot of us I think a lot of times with women, this whole independent women thing, we can take it a little far, and we can say, no, you go watch TV, let me study. But the thing is, I think that's handicapping us sometimes, because
right.
Not only are we pushing people away, but we're pushing a lot of times our help away and that relationship away. So what I help women do with that book is I help them to say, you know what, sometimes our children need to be a part of the process. And actually a lot of times they do, because they learn so much from us. And when we help them get a part of our daily routine and not just go watch TV or go play your game, I got to study. When we incorporate them, their life changes, because that also shows them that they're important. And they see, Mommy thinks I'm important, and I'm going to help her what's most important to her, too, which is being a great mom and achieving her goals, too. And the connection that makes is just so amazing. You know, it strengthens the family bond. You know, you both are reading together, you're learning together, and it's really just an amazing thing. So,
you know, that is such a good point. And what came to mind is my wife right now is working on her MBA, and our last daughter, the 13-year-old, is like a little math whiz. But what you just, I'm going to go, when I go home, and if she's still listening, because I know she has class this morning, so she may be on her way to class, have already left the house, I'm not sure. But when I go home, I'm going to bring that up. You know what, did you ever think about having Narissa come out here and help you while you're doing your homework? Because, I mean, that's a great point. So when I go home, I'm going to share that with her if she's not listening to it on the air now, in terms of, this kid is a math whiz. You're doing MBA, a lot of math-related things. Like you were talking about your son reading the engineering book. The same thing can happen here. And I never really even thought about that. Because I know when I was working on all my various degrees, my homework time was 11 at night to 1 in the morning. I would set aside 11 at night to 1 in the morning. Everybody was in bed. The house was quiet. I could think. But that is an excellent point in terms of having the kids help you with your homework.
Yeah, that it is. It's really... it can be very, very important. And, you know, sometimes it's more effective than others, but even my youngest, you know, he's 6 years old, and even when I'm working on, like, business ideas and strategies, he'll be sitting there, you know, snuggling with me, and he'll just, like, he has such an eye for detail. He'll just say, Mama, you should do this. And it can be, I'm like, how did you see that? I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Yes, I'm going to do that, babe. So it's just amazing when we say you can help versus no, you need to go somewhere and sit down. That's a tremendous difference.
That's right.
And they are receptive to that, and they really do want to help. They really do. They say, sure. Even my oldest, he's a teenager, but you know, he's kind of into teenagery things. But even when I say, you know, son, you know, would you like to help me do this? Say, sure. And a lot of times it's amazing because he starts to ask questions and he starts to understanding things about business or about college life and things like that. But without that, you know, I could easily say, no, you need to just go somewhere and sit down, you know, go talk to your friends online. But when they know, when you ask them or offer them, you know, to come be a part of my world, you are important and my work is important, and I want to mix it a little bit, they love that. And it helps everybody because they learn something. Usually you learn something because it's a different perspective on what you're doing. So they start to ask questions, and you're like, oh, I never thought about it like that. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty cool.
No, you're absolutely right. And for those of you who've just joined us, and I truly hope, because these have been powerful discussions this morning, that you've been with me since 6. In the 6 o'clock hour, I had Raheem Smallwood with me. In this hour, I have Cassandra Freeman with me. And we're talking about issues that could improve the way our world operates. If we were doing some of these things that Raheem and Cassandra are suggesting, we would have a totally different planet. and I'll be selfish and say the United States, if you will, but even if around the world, we did some of these things that Cassandra and Raheem are talking about within our family structures, whether you're single parent, whether you're a full-fledged traditional family, whether you're whatever type of family, if we would do these things with our kids, and being one that's an educator, matter of fact, I just wrote my next tweet that's going out, Cassandra, is the more I do the reading circle, the more I'm realizing that we're doing this education thing all wrong. Because listening to you this morning and listening to Raheem this morning and other guests that I've had on there, there's some things that we're doing in the educational system that's taking us away from doing some of these things that we're talking about. And because we don't get to do them, and then when you couple that of it not going on in the home either, that's why we're getting a bunch of wayward kids. And so the more that I'm having discussion with people that are doing things like what you're doing and what Raheem is doing, the more that I'm realizing that how we're going about the educational process is all wrong. And as an educator, I'm not ashamed to say it. All right, I'm going to share some more information with the folks. You know what to do. Get on all your social media sites. Let someone know that Cassandra's on the air with me. And this is a potent and important, inspirational, entertaining, and educational discussion. A couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago now, I had a guest on, and we were talking about a movie. It was called Standardized, and it was breaking on Valentine's Day. It was actually the Thursday after Valentine's Day, and I challenged the audience. I said, for all of you that's going to run out and go see 50 Shades of Grey, I need you to come out and see this movie as well. It was a free movie that they were offering up to parents about all this standardized testing. And I said, so if you're going to be running hot to trot for 50 Shades of Grey, I need you to run that same kind of hot to trot for something that really matters. And where I'm going with this is an interview this morning. Both of these interviews are interviews that really have some meat on them that matter in terms of making change. And I'm not saying the other interviews that I have are not, they don't do that. But a lot of them are about novels, they're about fiction, this, that, and the other. This is not fiction we're talking about here, folks. This is the ability to transform and change lives that will ultimately impact everybody, because you can't do something nice for somebody else that it doesn't ultimately come back around to you. You can't impact the life of somebody else without it coming back to you. And as Dr. Martin Luther King says, what affects one directly affects us all indirectly, one way or the other. So if those of us who have kind of been enlightened, don't do things like what Raheem and Cassandra are doing, we're going to always be in for this rough ride that we're having now. So I'm going to share this information with you. Let somebody know they need to be on the air for the next few minutes until Barry gets here, and then you can listen to the Naked Brunch. But this interview is a critical one.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't seen your lap in months. And even more stuff. But still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Reading Circle with Marc Medley on Brave New Radio.
Yes, you are. This is an extended version of the Reading Circle with Marc Medley. My guest is Cassandra Freeman, and we're talking about changing lives, particularly changing the lives of women. So, Cassandra, have you ever had anyone say, you know what, sister, you look like you got it all together. You looking good. You looking fine. You dress nice. You got the perfect Cosby family, so forth and so on. That may work for you, but, you know, I just don't see this working for me. Have you ever had that?
Yes, I have had that before.
And what do you say to that? In other words, they're looking at you. I'm looking at you in your website picture with the gray dress, so forth and so on, hair done, and all the nice, pretty smile, so forth and so on. Somebody will look at you and say, "Well, you know what? I can never be like you."
Right. Well, first I let them know that everyone has their own struggles. We all have setbacks, and we all have things that we have to overcome and have overcome. But a lot of times I share my story. I share my struggles with people, and I align it with whatever their story is to kind of relate to them. But I always let them know everybody struggles with something.
That's right.
And that no one is perfect. We may dress it up. We may accessorize it, and we talk positive, but everyone is overcoming something, and nobody is perfect.
Correct.
No single person. I tell that to a lot of little kids who sometimes think just because you may be able to answer the questions or whatnot that you're perfect. And I say not by a long shot. I have yet to meet a perfect person. I am not perfect.
Correct.
We all have imperfections. We all have our struggles, problems, issues, but we just have to change our response to it sometimes and say, I'm going through, but it's going to be okay.
That's right.
Tomorrow's a new day, and I'm going to push forward because this is just my circumstances, and my circumstances don't last forever.
I know that's right. Now, I see here in your highlights, you're the winner of the Dr. Stacia Pierce's Women's Success Conference video contest. What was that all about?
Oh, that was that was a contest I did when I was first starting off with my business. And I did that because I had just come out of transitioning my career, and I needed a project to work on that was going to take me towards my dreams. And I had come out of the medical field, and I knew that I didn't want to do medicine. I had always wanted to do this business. So that was a perfect opportunity for me to try. And I tried, and I very well succeeded, and I ended up going to the conference. And I think that just that start of getting into that contest and kind of being able to talk about my business and my ideas and where I wanted to go, I think that kind of just propelled me forward into my dreams even more. And I was able to just go forward with that and just to not look back. So that was a pretty good time because I was able to get my ticket to the Success Conference. I was able to be around like-minded people. And that's what also helped me because I was in a room that were like people like me. So I was able to connect with them and talk with them. And I think at that conference is when I really said, this can definitely happen. These are people like me. They're doing their own things, but they're showing me that what I want to do, I can succeed at, and I don't have to, go down another career track that I was planning to. So after that, I pretty much just went with it. I mean, I was on the go. I'm here now, so I'm just doing everything that I need to do to make my dreams happen. And it started with a decision first to change careers, but then it started with me saying, this is my project that I want to focus on. And focusing on the contest, it really helped me to write down my dreams and to discuss it with others and to really just have fun with it, to be able to say, this is my purpose, this is my vision, this is what I want to do with my life, and to be able to kind of box that up in a contest that helped me really see and reinforce my vision to myself over and over again, I think that was pretty life-changing. And it was even better that I won, so I was really excited about that, too. I think
that's right.
That was so exhilarating when I won. I was like, oh, my gosh, because when you have, like I said, when I help women to change their doubts into beliefs to make that transformation, during that transformation, once they start believing, that is probably the most amazing moment. I mean, just to see them say, I couldn't find a way to go to school, but I did. And I'm going to be the first one in my family to ever go to college.
Right.
That is so powerful.
Right. And it has to be. As a matter of fact, just the fact that you're an entrepreneur, a business, that's an inspiration in and of itself. Because as I told you, my wife is pursuing her MBA, and one of her dreams is to be an entrepreneur. So I'm going to ask the question just for the listening audience, but selfishly as well, or shall I say not just for the listening audience, but selfishly as well. What advice do you give for folks who want to step out there and do their own thing or to become an entrepreneur?
Well, I would say to make sure that after you, most of the people that want to switch to become an entrepreneur, they're already in their daily jobs. And for me, I was actually in school full time, so that was kind of like my job, and I really had no time other than to do the medical, information to study that. But after that, before I would go in and after I go in, I would think about my business. And at the time I didn't have a business, but I thought about my idea, and I was always writing stuff down and, just utilizing all of that spare time
right
until you can completely make that change is important. But I think a lot of people are afraid because they feel like they don't have time. But it's important to make sure that even just 15 minutes before you start your work day, just kind of maybe if you want to brainstorm your ideas or fill out a business form. I mean, there's so many things that you can do, and you don't have to necessarily use the entire day. But utilizing that time before you go to work or after you go to work, like you were saying that you stayed up, hours 11 to 1. Usually that's when I would stay up too if I really wanted to get down and dirty with the studying. But even with that, like after work, utilizing that time, after, you have your family time, utilize that time to work on your next goal, your entrepreneur idea, because that is where it's at until you can make the full conversion. And eventually you will. It's just not going to be an overnight thing. And I think that's where a lot of people say, I just want to cut the cord right now. I want to make my business tomorrow. You can't always do that, especially when you're the main breadwinner. This is probably not a wise thing to do. But a slow conversion is best, and you will get there. It's going to take time just like anything. But the truth is what I tell a lot of people who just want to cut the cord, even if you just cut the cord and start your business, it's going to be a journey either way. You still have to grow along the way. You're not going to open your business doors tomorrow and have $1 million. I mean, it's possible, but it's rare, But it's always going to be a journey, no matter what. It's always going to be a journey. You always have to take time to grow whatever it is you're trying to build, always. So that's what I try to get people to understand is that it has to be a slow progression, regardless of whether you cut the cord. But I would say to make it more of a transition, take a time before and after work. And I know I'm saying this repetitive because what I see a lot of people, they really just believe in that whole overnight success thing, and that if they leave their job, put in their 30-day notice, open up a restaurant, that's going to be awesome. And it's like, no, you really need to strategize and plan it through. Maybe start cooking for your employees and maybe, branch off from that. I don't know, but whatever it is, make it the slow transition. Really put your all into it, after work. Stay up, connect with people in the industry, go to different events and network on the weekends. I mean, start off small and grow into what you want to become.
And that is very sound advice. And you're right. A lot of times people get deflated or frustrated because the expectation is I'm going to hang out my shingle and I'm going to have $1 million the next day.
Yes.
And now when that doesn't happen, they get depressed, deflated. Oh, I knew it wasn't going to work. And now it's a vicious cycle.
Exactly.
So that is very sound advice, and you're absolutely right. Matter of fact, again, I record the show, so if my wife did not get an opportunity to hear it, I'll let her listen to it later whenever we play back the recording. But that is sound advice, certainly. So what's next for Cassandra?
What's next is I have a Make It Happen e-class. It's starting March 2nd. I'm really, really excited about it. It's basically a class where you use what you've got to make your dreams happen. We tackle belief, we tackle mental toughness, eliminating excuses, taking action, whatever it is to make your goals happen, we talk about it. And then I'm going to follow that up with it's all about the journey and reinforce this idea that, yes, it's time to make your dreams happen, but you also have to understand that it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen along the journey. You will get there, but the important thing is that you follow the journey. And I'm really excited about the Make It Happen class because I'm going to be working with a few charities, hopefully, and really helping the young girls to get the Make It Happen mindset and to understand that I want them to focus on, the possibilities of their future and to kind of put, boys or, the whole social scene on hold for a while.
That's
and just
right.
kind of really focus on, their goals and what they see for their future. So hopefully I'm in talks with a few of the charities to really connect with these young girls and try to get them in the class too. It's going to be a great class. This is probably my most passionate project because the Make It Happen mindset is so important. Just using what you have around you to make your goals happen. So many times we see where we want to be. We see that degree or we see a successful business of $1 million and we think that we're supposed to be operating on that level. So we seek out tools on that level.
Right.
But we're not ready for that. We're not ready. So you have to use what's in front of you to start making your goals happen. And a few years ago, I had a friend who she wanted to write a book. And, she was like, well, I want to connect with publishers. And I'm like, whoa, okay, first of all, let's get a piece of paper and a notebook and write the book. We don't need publishers right now. And at the time, it was like you're not even connected on social media or you're connected to your friends. Let's start where we are. Let's write it down. And then, let's work on the next steps, get it edited and stuff like that. But we so try to jump the gun and say, oh, I want to be, famous. Well,
right.
Maybe they don't want to be famous, but they want to be on that higher level.
Right.
And we gotta bring it down a little bit. It's not bad. I mean, all great people started off small, and it's
Absolutely.
like, start off where you are, and then work your way up to where you want to be. And that's why I'm so passionate about Make It Happen, because I want people to see that you can make your dreams happen. Well, start off where you are. Use what you have to make your dreams happen. And it's like I said, it's starting March 2nd, but I am so excited about this class and just being able to convert people's minds to say, what do I have in my surroundings, in my community to start making my dreams happen?
Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, at this time, as we come to the end of the interview, I always give the guest the opportunity to promote. You could say anything. You just started promoting that, but you could say anything other than the actual dollar amount. But in terms of your books, how they can get a hold of you if they need you to be a speaker, you can use the next few minutes to promote. And then before you know it, we're done at that point. But I thank you so much for rising early to join me this morning. It has been a wonderful conversation. And I trust it's been enlightening for our audience, and they've gotten some strategies or tools, or at least, if nothing else, some things to reflect and think about.
Yes.
So
indeed.
This is your moment to promote as much as you would like, other than just a dollar figure.
Oh, okay. Yes. So if anyone wants to connect with me for a speaking engagement, you can call 804-464-8513, and we'll be able to set you up so that I can do speaking engagement. Also, my website is thoughtfulinspirations.com. That's thoughtfulinspirations.com. I have the most popular blog, so you can go there and you can just read the inspiration in those blog posts, and also have my products up there. If you want to sign up for my Make It Happen e-class, it's very affordable. You can sign up today before the class starts on March 2nd. And I'm really excited. They're going to be great bonuses. I'm going to be giving out 3 ebooks in that class with the Eliminate Excuses, Overnight Success, and the Make It Happen devotional. And this is just a ton of information. If you want to read more about that, you can go on my site and click Learn More. And it's just an abundance of information, and I know that you're going to be blessed by it. You can also connect with me on social media. I'm on Twitter, and I'm also on Facebook. You can just type in facebook.com/thoughtfully-inspired. I'm on all social medias. I'm on Instagram with Cassandra Freeman. I'm on Pinterest as Best You, like the letter U, Best You Can Be. And I can't wait to connect with you. Oh, and you can also connect with me through email at B, like the word B, B-E, inspired at thoughtfulinspirations.com. If you want to email me any questions or comments, or if you just want to connect with me, I will be very, very happy to connect with you. And I love talking with my audience and inspiring them. So feel free to email me. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn at Cassandra Freeman. So I look forward to connecting with you all, and it's been great. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me. It has been such a pleasure to chat with everyone today.
Same here, and I always have to put this disclaimer in terms of the recording because I never know if the recorder is going to work the way I want it to or not. But so far, it hasn't failed me lately, and I'm glad about that. But if everything works well, I usually post my shows up on YouTube that folks have an opportunity to hear. Those that did not want to rise early, not my early birds, but they can go back in and you get a copy of the link as well to do whatever you'd like with it. So before the weekend is out, I'll have that to you. But it has been wonderful speaking with you as well. I wish you nothing but the best as we seek to transform and to change lives.
Yes.
So God bless you and your work and family and everything else that you're doing. And, you know, as my mother and everybody else used to say, is keep on keeping on.
All right. Yes.
So take care and have a great day.
You too.
All right. Thanks. Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Well, what a fascinating morning in terms of the two interviews. They both dovetailed, and a lot of times it's not really planned that way. It's kind of like that's God's work. That's the way it just seems to work out. So you heard Raheem talking about being able to transform the lives of our boys, and you heard Cassandra talking about transforming the lives of our women. And ultimately, it's really transforming the lives of our families and us as human beings. So we're coming down to the last few minutes. I see the light is on. Barry's here. I saw the phone lighting up earlier, a little bit early, so I know that was Gloria calling, but since I was in the middle of talking, I didn't pick that up. So if Gloria wants to call again, I get her on, but Barry will be on in about 12 minutes. So just lay back and relax.
They thought they could hold me down, but boy did they think wrong, cause I'm here, and now that I'm here, I'ma keep giving y'all the illest mix you've ever heard. From executive producer Diamonds comes the illest show on radio. Starring multi-award winner Diamonds. Every Saturday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Brave New Radio. Club Melting Pot. Only on WP 88.7 FM.
As I said, I've had a fantastic time, as I always do each Saturday morning, chatting with my guests. It is my hope and prayer that as we chat with folks that you learn something, that you become inspired, and ultimately the show is the reading circle because we're trying to encourage you to read more because, as you heard Cassandra and I, and probably Raheem and I said it as well, reading is the foundation of everything else. And I know the test that these kids are getting ready to take on Monday, if they can't read, they're sunk. Because it's timed, it's on the computer. They're going to have to be able to grasp the concept very quickly, be able to answer the question, and input it into the computer. And if they can't read and comprehend, they're going to be sunk. S-U-N-K, sunk. So reading is the linchpin. It is the foundation. It is whatever metaphor, simile, adjective, whatever literary device you want to use, reading is it in terms of support structure. You cannot get around that. As you heard Cassandra say, there is nothing you can do that doesn't require you to have to read something, whether it's the signs on the street, whether you're driving on the highway, whether you're trying to read the instructions on something, whether you're even trying to read a tweet. If you're trying to read a text message, all of that requires your being able to read. So that's the impetus for the show. That's why the show was started nearly 14 years ago now. The station manager at the time said, I wanted to do a show on books. I wanted to do something to encourage people to read more. I thought you was perfect for the job. And hence, we are still here 14 years later, still trying to encourage folks to read and read more, because believe it or not, reading, writing, speaking, all of that is connected. Your ability to read well, speak well, think well, write well, all of those things are connected on the same side of the brain. So, and they support everything else in terms of your mathematics, your sciences, your music, your arts, your social studies. All of that is connected. It all supports there, and you need to be able to read and be able to read well. And those of our children who are now being trained via the Common Core curriculum, that Common Core requires you to be able to read, be able to cite text, be able to make your case, be able to debate, be able to defend your position. The Common Core requires our kids to do all of that, and all of that is based on being able to read. So when you heard Cassandra talking about how important reading is, it is. And for some people, having them read a book is like pulling teeth. You would think we were taking them to the torture chamber because we asked them to read a passage or to read a book. And that's a shame, because reading you don't have to leave your seat, and you can go anywhere around the world with a book. Your imagination and the words in a book can take you to places that your physical body may never, ever, as long as you're on the planet, take you to. But just by sitting in a chair and reading a book, you have the opportunity to get there. So Barry's up in about 4 minutes. My clock says 8:56, so he'll be on about 4 minutes. So I'm going to leave you in parting as I always do. May you live as long as you want, and not want as long as you live. Live each day as if it were your last, because one day, it really doesn't matter who you are or who you are not, what position or title you've held. You could be president of the United States. You could be the czar. You could be the grand, high, exalted, mystic ruler. You could be whatever title you may think that you are. But one day, the great equalizer, there are two equalizers, maybe three, but certainly two, and that's birth and death. We were all born, and one day we are all going to die. Those two are the great equalizers. No matter what race you are, no matter how much money you have, no matter how much material possessions you may or may not have, those two things are the great equalizer. We all came here, and we're all going to go. So whatever it is that you want to do, get it done in between the dash. And the dash is what's going to be on your tombstone, your birth date and your death date. So whatever it is you want to get it done in between that dash. Time is fleeting. You don't have a whole lot of time. So that's what Cassandra was talking about in terms of goal setting and working toward your dreams and your goals. Get it done. Have a wonderfully blessed week, and we'll be together again next week, God willing.